In the days of old, when sexual restraint was in vogue and the urge to take advantage of sexual opportunity was scarce, people knew how to grow that sexual chemistry into something really deeper than sex. Most people who are married will tell you that love is never enough. So much so that when it eventually happens, it creates, that mind-blowing, that inexplicable bond. So strong that even Romeo and Juliet will turn in their graves and envy what you both have. Now let's talk about the dark side of sexual chemistry. Because this is where we either fall or we stand strong at the beginning of any relationship. Sexual chemistry is as intoxicating as heroin or a drug. And it can be just as dangerous if you give into it without first rationally, deciphering if the one you're attracted to is a perfect fit for you, is a perfect fit for your personality. So it is this seductive cocktail of attraction that makes people engage in dangerous sexual behavior. Now, let me describe for you what sexual chemistry looks like. It is like a captor who blindfolds your rational brain. It unhinges your ability to, steer your wheels in a practical direction. And boom, before you even realize what has been done to you, it releases you as a blind driver. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to paint sexual chemistry in a bad light, because of course, sexual chemistry is what every person hopes to have, every person hopes to find in a person or in a mate, because it feels so good. But the problem here is the ability to not be capable of restraint. Do you get where I'm coming from? It is in this restraint that you build something solid from the connection that you both share. And sadly, let me be honest with you, restraint in the face of strong chemistry is what we as a generation of today no longer have. Because we give in too easily to our feelings or to what we think we feel. And that's the advantage those of old had over us. And that's why their marriages lasted so long for so many years. In the days of old, when sexual restraint was in vogue and the urge to take advantage of sexual opportunity was scarce, people knew how to grow that sexual chemistry into something really deeper than sex. So much so that when it eventually happens, it creates that mind-blowing, that inexplicable bond. So strong that even Romeo and Juliet will turn in their graves and envy what you both have. So having that sexual chemistry is the holy grail of love. If only you could find it, but not act on it so fast, so soon. So give it time to fester, give it time to linger on until both of you burst with lust for each other when you finally think that you both have, ticked all the boxes of compatibility. Because let's flash forward to today's high supply sexual economy where sexual opportunities have been exploited even before a talking stage. Sexual restraint has nothing to write home about because most of us don't even know what sexual restraint is all about. And sexual chemistry has become a requirement for most relationships. Plus, dating has also become a high-speed audition process such that if sexual chemistry isn't found with one partner, there must be something wrong. So tell me, how do we hope to build something solid, a solid foundation that makes sense at all, that makes it all worthwhile sticking with a partner during the bad times especially? Be honest with yourself. Have you noticed that the greater the sexual chemistry you have earlier on in your relationship, the worse the relationship outcomes become? Have you noticed that? Have you noticed that? I mean, I'm not saying this out of just saying this. This has been researched upon, so I'm speaking facts. People with good sexual chemistry earlier on simply do not stay together longer. And that's for a fact. And this is why. Because it makes you blindly move too fast. It makes you couple together too fast. And then you find yourself adjusting your lives together before you've even given thought to evaluate if your partner is truly compatible with you. But then again, don't get me wrong, in the early stage of a relationship, sex is very important. But down the road, when couples reach, that stage of mature, companionate love, those with the hottest sexual chemistry earlier on in the relationship will feel like something has died, because you have basically exhausted everything spicy from the get-go. You confuse sex with love. And then when your sex life transforms, you start to feel like you are falling out of love. So here is the gospel truth, guys. The path to a healthy relationship is a road of slow love. I'll say it again. The path to a healthy relationship is the road to slow love, or the road of slow love. Never rush it. Take time to suppress that sexual chemistry, because half the time it comes from a place of lust. And love comes with a need to scratch and itch. And once that sensation is over, there is nothing left to look forward to. And you don't want that in a relationship where you sit down and without touching, you can't say anything. There is nothing else that you say. There is nothing else to look forward to. There is no fun. The only fun that you have is when you're having sex. Doesn't make sense. Because most people who are married will tell you that love is never enough. So how much more sex? How much more sex? So there should be something deeper than that. And that's why you should not act on your sexual chemistry, especially at the early stage of your relationship. So be like an onion, right? Give room to be peeled off one layer at a time. Build your self-control so that you can master the act, or you can master, the act of self-restraint in times where you feel like tearing his clothes off or tearing her clothes off. And just basically getting down to business, okay? Sexual chemistry is good, but know when to act upon it, okay? All right then.